Cathy Burns, CEO of IFPA, joins us now. What a privilege to talk to you, Cathy.
Yep, the honor is mine.
We enjoyed your presentation. Thank you very, very much. Let's highlight a few of the topics.
Sure.
In South Africa, I'm sure we're also concerned when it comes to food waste. You made a few interesting remarks. Would you share that with us?
Sure. I mean, food waste is top of mind for our industry, for sure. Consumers expect almost perfect fruit. And so across, if we pick retail, for example, there's about $400 billion worth of food waste that happens every year. Actually, I think it's $600 billion worth of food waste that happens every year because consumers want perfect fruit. And 2/3 of that product is edible, but just doesn't meet those consumer expectations. So what's interesting is what's happening in the UK is 2/3 of consumers actually think the best before or best buy date means that's the last time they can eat that food. And it's really a symbol of quality, not necessarily that the fruit is bad. So in the UK, they've actually are doing a test where they're removing the best buy date. Several retailers are doing that and leaving it up to the consumer to determine whether the quality remains, for them as an experienced eater, so to speak. And this is all part of the UK's effort to reduce food waste by 50% by the year 2030.
So it's a mind shift.
It is a mind shift, and it's a communication and education shift for the consumer. But most of food waste actually happens just before or during harvest. So there's a lot of innovation happening, certainly at the farm level and the processing plant level, before it even gets to the retailer. But it does need to be an effort across the whole supply chain, ultimately to reduce the waste that is going into landfills or back into the ground.
Cathy, I'm sure this is a topic we can talk about for more
Absolutely.
and more for the whole day.
Exactly.
Artificial intelligence,
Yes.
a new buzzword.
It is.
Where does this fit in within the fresh produce industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. And artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence, is coming at the world like a freight train, honestly. It's been around for a very, very long time, but now with quantum computing, AI now has the right computational power to really leverage itself going forward, or leverage AI going forward. The first place we're going to see it in efficiency and effectiveness of operations. So sales and marketing, supply chain, making our supply chains more efficient is another area that will be a large investment of AI. So anything, if you think about opening up capacity for us to innovate and to become more creative on everyday processes that are repetitive, so to speak, artificial intelligence is going to create, again, many, many efficiencies and effectiveness, and actually generate revenue for our industry like we've never seen. It's the tip of the iceberg. We're just getting into it, but I really encourage our industry in particular to learn about it, play with it, educate yourselves, because it's here now and it's going to keep changing. Artificial intelligence looks one thing today. By December, it'll be totally different because it's learning. It's constantly learning and iterating. And our industry is in the top 10 industries that are going to benefit from artificial intelligence.
And linked to that is technology. That's
right.
developing as well.
That's
right.
right.
In your industry, you showed us a video of a machine in Japan
Yes.
that actually peels a banana.
It does. I didn't know that was a labor challenge that needed a solution, but albeit I think the spirit of what we talk about is bringing the best technologies in the world to the best industry in the world, and ag tech is exploding. What I'm so inspired by is there are a lot of ag tech incubators and startups right here in South Africa. And as many people have told me over the last 24 hours, we're going to surprise the world by all the ag tech innovations that's happening for on-farm, in processing plants, at retail, seed development. So the next generation, Gen Z in particular, one, they're incredibly talented, incredibly smart, and they're using that smart for good, especially as it relates to ag food tech. So you're going to see many, many more innovations coming on the technology front. Drones are already out there. There are drones that are, because the bee population is dying around the world, so they're now actually pollinators that are replacing bees, that are doing exactly what bees do, but obviously they're robotics. We have robotic harvesters. The amount of tech evolution and innovation that is coming gives me great optimism for the future, because we're going to need it based on the labor market and the talent market around the world.
And all of that leads to becoming or staying sustainable.
Exactly.
And that's another topic.
Yes. Yeah, we have no shortage of challenges in our industry, that's for sure. It's interesting, sustainability, we do surveys every year of our members and of the industry at large. And it was always creating demand, advocacy, food safety, and sustainability was ranked number 10 of all the priorities that the agriculture community has. Last year, that moved into the 2 or 3 spot, depending on the country. So sustainability is a journey, not a destination. But there are so many things that we can be doing and are doing, quite frankly, along the supply chain to make our industry more sustainable. Production, how it's transported, how it's grown. Again, this closely links to technology because you can't decouple these. The technology innovations that are happening will help our industry become more sustainable. Why? It's driven from the consumer. Consumers are very passionate, again, especially Gen Z and millennials, about becoming more sustainable, and they're putting that demand on our industry.
Well, we'll be talking to Tamara as well.
You'll be hearing a lot about sustainability.
IFPA's role,
Yes.
explain to us. We have got questions.
Sure.
People ask, why do we need IFPA?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me start fundamentally of why associations exist. Associations exist to do things no single company can do on their own. IFPA is the only trade association that represents the full supply chain and represents the world. Seed manufacturers, growers, wholesalers, exporters, distributors, retailers, anytime you touch a piece of fruit, vegetable, or a flower, we're somehow involved in that supply chain. Most trade associations only focus on a commodity or a sector or a geography in the world. So the power that IFPA has when there's a challenge around the world or in a particular region is we can bring the whole supply chain together. And then we solve the issue collectively. So sustainability, for example, isn't it great that we have the seed manufacturers, the growers, the exporters, and the retailers all in the same room talking about how to solve that problem? And, oh, by the way, the opportunity to kind of be the big tent for all the commodity boards that are just focused on their commodities, but you bring them together and you create solutions to a challenge that the whole industry has. The way I think about IFPA is we will know when we've arrived when we're at every table where food is being discussed around the world, because our industry often isn't at that table. Big commodities, row crops are at the table, pork is at the table, dairy is at the table. But because we're so diversified as an industry, we need an organization like IFPA to represent everybody at those conversations where policies are being set, decisions are being made, the future of AI, sustainability, technology, all of those things, we need to be at that table.
What is IFMA's role as far as advocacy is concerned?
Yeah, so because we have the power of the whole supply chain, we look at advocacy with the big A. So consumer advocacy, inspiring people to eat more of our products and buy more flowers, so eat more fruits and vegetables and buy more floral. PR, public relations, going out and telling the great stories of our industry. I mean, we are the most sustainable product on the planet. And what I love about our industry is we have a heart and soul like no other part of the plate and no other part of the store. The challenge is we're humble to a fault. And we need to get out there and be more bold and progressive and put more voice to all the good stories that agriculture is doing. And from a public relations perspective, we have the opportunity and responsibility to do that. And then government relations. So going to governments and advocating for our product, educating governments on how our product is even grown. I mean, I would love policymakers to come out and kick some dirt or to be in a processing plant or to spend time at retail to really understand the decisions they're making and the implications they're having across the whole supply chain. So that's the role of advocacy and IFPA's role in ensuring that we have a strong, bold voice in the future of our food.
Cathy, I'd like to end today's discussion with something, and I have to tell the viewers that Cathy's opening message today was wonderful to us South Africans. Can you remember what you said?
Well, I can try. I was having a conversation with someone last night, and they said, "What do you love about South Africa?" And, you know, I can talk about the beautiful country and the mountains and the ocean and the safari and all the things a typical tourist might say. But I will tell you, this is my third time to this incredible country. And what I am most struck by is the people. Not only how beautiful they are and how gracious the South African people are and the hospitality that you provide, but things that have stuck with me every time I've come here, regardless of the headwinds, and you have a lot. South Africans have a lot of headwinds. The resilience, the agility, the pure grit and determination to address issues in spite of what's coming at you is something I don't see around the world very often. Oftentimes I see people being victims of their circumstance, and as I said, there are so many headwinds and challenges really hitting the South African business community and the South African consumer, but I have just, again, every time I have a conversation, I say, what gives you hope? And the hope is that as a community, you have each other's backs. You're going to come up with solutions, again, in spite of everything that is coming at you. And your orientation towards thriving is unmatched. So I leave inspired to take that back to all the countries that I travel, to say, look at South Africa and how they're doing it in spite of everything. And just think, when times are great, the step change in the performance here is going to be remarkable.
Well, thank you for being here.
Of course,
it
thank
was
you.
a pleasure.
Likewise,
thank you.
You're very
Yes,
welcome. Thank you.
CEO of IFPA, Cathy Burns, and I must say, after today and after those words, I'm proud to be a South African.